A huge, historic howitzer weighing almost 200 tons. It's colossal. My God, just look at the size of it. What an enormous gun. Can the team actually separate this metal monster into two pieces? You can't just lift the barrel off. This is the moment of truth. Will it or won't it? And they must avoid causing any friendly fire damage while hauling it nearly 400 miles to Harwich. Driving a truck is easy. It's all the other idiots on the road that make it hard. The team must battle against rising tides. It's getting critical now. The ship's starting to panic a bit and contend with jam-packed roads. It's going to be snug, but we can handle snug. One gigantic gun. One team with a mission to move it. A titanic task that will test the nerves of those daring enough to try. These are monster moves. Southwest Wiltshire, a tranquil corner of the English countryside, unless you live in Larkhill, home to the Royal Artillery, the British Army's big guns. For almost a century, the Royal Regiment's headquarters and training school have been based here in this garrison town. They're overseen by Deputy Garrison Commander, Lieutenant Colonel John Lefebvre. The British Army has been here since World War I, primarily the gunners. It's perfect for our needs. We're on the edge of Salisbury Plain, so we can drive straight out onto it. Icons of the regiment's combative history stand proudly on display. We're all artillerymen, so diverse, flying unmanned aircraft in the sky, using long-range guided missiles, and wielding artillery pieces like these behind me. But one gun looms larger than all the others. This railway howitzer. The biggest of its kind anywhere in the world, by far the largest caliber weapon the Royal Artillery ever manned. It's significant for its sheer size. It's a monster. It's colossal, 195 tons of beast. Composed of three main parts, the howitzer is immense, weighing as much as a jumbo jet. Its barrel is 18 inches wide and over 16.5 meters long. It can be angled up to 40 degrees, launching 1-ton explosive shells onto targets 13 miles away. Firing an 18-inch shell generates a huge amount of power and can do a tremendous amount of damage. Railway howitzers were deployed on both sides in World War I. They were large enough to inflict significant damage and mobile enough to crisscross the Western Front via extensive railway networks. Their purpose wasn't just range, but the sheer weight and impact of the shell. As the war progressed, the British Army developed ever larger howitzers. This gun is an 18-inch howitzer, the largest in the country. 5 of these huge 18-inch howitzers were built for frontline use. But by the time they were ready, the fighting had ended. By the 1960s, most were gone, cut up, melted down, or sold as scrap. Only the Larkhill howitzer survived. Now, after almost a century, it's being deployed on a unique 6-month overseas mission. When I first saw the howitzer, I thought, my God, what a huge gun. In the picturesque city of Utrecht, the staff at the National Railway Museum are preparing for a major exhibition. Last year was good, 360,000 visitors. We're trying for even more this year. They're exploring the role of railways in warfare, tanks, an armored train, a German steam locomotive. But something's missing. We need the howitzer, the most spectacular piece we can show. It's the cherry on top, if you will. The howitzer can't simply roll to Utrecht on rails. It no longer runs on track. This metal monster must go by truck, almost 200 miles from Larkhill through southern England to Harwich Port, then sail 130 miles to Rotterdam, followed by a tricky 61-mile road trip through tight, twisting streets to reach the museum. It's a big challenge. Moving the gun to Utrecht is the most expensive part of the exhibition. Back in Larkhill, the clock is ticking. The howitzer needs a major facelift before display. The railway howitzer is in awful condition. I can say categorically it won't go to Holland unless it's refurbished. We've done smaller projects over the years, but this is a big one. The gun's taken over my life. My other half calls it the other woman. After 2 weeks of hard work, the howitzer is pristine again. I think it's an excellent job. It was important not to let such a piece of history decay. It's going on public view. We need to be proud. I think people will be proud when they see it in Holland. It was worth doing it properly. Well done, guys. It looks good. Remind them it was made in Britain. Now all that remains is a 400-mile journey. Worst-case scenario is someone pulls out of the move next week. That'd be disappointing. With less than a week to go before the deadline, one of the country's leading hauliers is lined up for the job. Yeah, I don't have official drawings, just a small book with the wrong barrel weight. 5 days before Peter Paul's exhibition opens, the entire plan falls apart. Everything's uncertain now. I'm pessimistic. It could cost a lot of money. A miscalculation of the barrel's weight means the original truckers have quit. There's no one to move it. In Wiltshire, the Royal Artillery faces a 200-ton dilemma. In less than 5 days, the huge WWI railway Howitzer must be in Utrecht. But there's no transporter. It's been busy. The contractor realized he didn't have the equipment. The weights were all wrong. At the last minute, the call comes. A new haulier has stepped in. Fantastic, brilliant. The team gathers. I'm pleased to announce that it will move. We've had a contractor change at the last moment. The new contractors are H.C. Wilson Transport of Bury St. Edmunds. At the 11th hour, a haulage firm from Suffolk sends a top team of heavy haulers. Mick Thumper Farrow. I'd rather not say why. Dave Dodge Allison. He's a bit dodgy. And John Stocks. Don't think I have a nickname. Maybe Stocksy or the Blue-Eyed Boy. Normally they'd get more warning. This time, they have less than 24 hours to reach Harwich. It's going to be tight. We must be on the road by nightfall, or we'll miss the morning ferry. They're counting on help from Bob McGrain's crew at Ainscouth Crane Hire. This is a 500-ton Liebherr crane, about $4 million worth of equipment. It's enormous. Lifting this 200-ton Titan won't be easy. It's too heavy to travel on roads in one piece, so Bob's team must split it into 2 parts. They'll use hydraulic jacks to remove heavy caps holding the 104-ton barrel and slings to swing it free. Then do the same with the carriage, spreading the weight across 2 trucks. This is a one-off job. Our guys are excited to be part of it. First, remove the caps. Our crane attaches here, and that slides out that way. But they've painted it nicely, and the thick paint might cause issues. A lot of elbow grease is needed to defeat Colonel Lefebvre's paintwork. I don't mind hard work. Paint can surprisingly hinder movement. Time is precious. It could take 5 minutes or 5 hours. They don't have 5 hours. The ferry won't wait. But we'll get it done today. That's as definite as I'll be. 3.5 hours later, the caps release. Yeah, we got it. Just need to get it on the trucks, then I'll be much happier. With caps off, they fasten steel cables and fabric slings to the crane's giant hook, creating a cradle around the barrel. But there's another snag. A ratchet mechanism and rusted cogs lock the barrel in place. They must lift slowly, allowing gears to disengage. Just pinch it up. Steady. The aging gears suddenly spring to life. Hold it! Hold it! At first, the barrel hangs precariously, shifting unexpectedly. It's pulling down. We didn't expect it to move at all. They try again, the moment of truth. Will it or won't it? Straight up, then back. It's lifting smoothly, clearing the cogs. That's what we wanted. Excellent. 104 tons, just as measured. No damage. Perfect. They place the barrel on John's truck, right in the middle for proper weight distribution. Cornering, braking, it all matters. If it's off-center, we could have big problems. 1:30 p.m. Less than 17 hours until the ferry leaves Harwich. They chain down the barrel. 2:30 p.m. Time to load the carriage. It has lifting points, so it should be easier. But it's too tall and will cause trouble on Dutch roads. They must remove a heavy cast-iron pin to detach the rear bogie and lower its height. The pin is jammed, stuck with years of grease and dirt. It has to come out. There will be a way. They try jacks. No movement. Time ticks on. They try another pin, hit it with a hammer. Surprisingly, it shifts easily. Man of the moment. 3:30 p.m. Finally, they remove the rear bogie. Pinch it up, nice and slow. The carriage lifts perfectly level. Beautiful engineering. As they prepare to leave, Colonel Lefebvre drops a bombshell. A 1-ton shell traveling with the howitzer might be live. They call the bomb squad. Hopefully someone checked these for explosives. Museums have, on rare occasions, held live ordnance. They test the shell, just inert filling, no danger. It's completely safe. 5 p.m. With the howitzer and shell loaded, John and Mick hit the road, racing to Harwich. Driving's easy. It's other road users that make it difficult. A muppet on the road doesn't understand signals, but John keeps calm. This is the maximum legal load on short notice. Meanwhile in Utrecht, Peter Paul's team prepares for the howitzer's arrival. We had a bad start, but now things are going well. It arrives just a few days before opening, cutting it close, but photos from Wiltshire help us plan. 12:20 a.m. 2 trucks roll into Harwich, carrying the world's largest surviving railway gun. They must catch the 8 a.m. ferry. It's been a long day living the dream. As Mick and John grab a few hours' sleep, Chief Officer Trevor Rowe checks weight distribution. We normally load 18-ton trailers. This is equal to about 10 of those. We must balance the ship so it doesn't list to one side. 7:30 p.m. The howitzer waits to board. It must load last for balance, but the ferry leaves in an hour, and it's bitterly cold. A late-arriving truck is holding them up. The rising tide makes the ramp steeper. If they wait too long, the low loader could ground out, risking the gun's safety. No more than 15 minutes. We should have boarded ages ago. Time's running out. The late trailer appears at last. 5 minutes to departure. John goes first with the barrel. Keep coming. Keep coming. Perfect. He's on. Mick's turn with the carriage. His trailer sits lower and might scrape. Take it easy. He hears mud flaps scraping, but he makes it. Thank God. We made it. Nicely on. Everyone's happy. 8 p.m. The howitzer sets sail across the North Sea. In Utrecht, the museum team worries about fitting the howitzer inside. It'll be tight. The gun enters through that big door, but there's a support post we can't remove. It's holding up the roof. They hope it'll fit. 5 p.m. Rotterdam, Europe's busiest port. Mick and John check if their precious cargo survived the rough crossing. Tires, load, everything's fine. They face a 61-mile trip to Utrecht. Motorways are good, but city streets, that's where it gets fun. A tricky route awaits them, tight turns reversing onto the wrong side of the street. This is the real challenge. 10 p.m. The museum gates. It's going to be snug. We do snug, not ridiculous, but snug is fine. They must back the howitzer into the museum. They use blocks to help and steer the rear axles remotely. Peter Paul arrives. Oh my God, I'm so happy it's here. He promises the colonel a beer, but he might start celebrating now. Dodge is now in charge of remote steering. But the remote malfunctions. Without it, he can't steer the rear wheels. He must guide John by hand signals. In the darkness, they manage. The howitzer is inside the courtyard. All in now. That's it for tonight. The howitzer has reached the museum, but it's still in pieces. Tomorrow they'll reassemble it. The next day they must move it into the hall. It's complicated. Obstacles everywhere. Remove the staircase, carefully pass the support post, dodge the museum shop. Just 15 centimeter clearance on each side. It's going to be snug, but we handle snug. Incredibly, John maneuvers the truck with precision. It's amazing. I can't even park my car this well. Now they must unload inside the busy hall. No crane swings here. They set up a special gantry. Carefully, they lower the carriage onto the rails and reunite it with the barrel and rear wheels. They need extra muscle. An old engine helps push. An 11-ton piece that feels heavier than expected. It's slightly off alignment by a centimeter or two. They adjust chains, a bit dangerous overhead, but it works. Down to the last detail, they slide the barrel in place. Done. 3 days and nearly 400 miles since leaving Larkhill, the howitzer stands assembled. It's unusual, but an honor. Not every day you move such a historic piece. It's a memory nobody else will have, just the three of us. We did it. We can say, that was us. The next day, the showpiece exhibit is unveiled. I'm tired but very happy. We needed something big, a true eye-catcher, and it is. Colonel Lefebvre is proud. It's even better than I imagined. The atmosphere is phenomenal. Everyone pulled together. It was a project that couldn't fail. And now, on opening day in Utrecht, it's fantastic.